Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. Some of us have been shopping and doing business via the internet for years. Many of us only getting on board since COVID-19, and yet others still haven't given in as we resist the inevitable. Or is it the inevitable? Whichever category you fall into, there are challenges to doing business online and surviving through it all. We have as our guest today Tyrone Edwards, IT specialist, and Trevor Samuels, public relations officer and past president of the National Consumers League. Good morning, Mr. Edwards. Good morning, Mr. Samuels. How are you both today?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Great.
Good morning, Mr. Marshall. I'm doing well. Good morning to your audience.
Well, we're going to start with you, Mr. Tyrone Edwards. I would like for you to assist us by reminding us as to what is artificial intelligence, please.
Well, artificial intelligence is the use of computer applications that will simulate human behavior and decision-making patterns.
That will
in a
simulate?
nutshell,
That will simulate?
Human decision making. So it will be allowing a computer program to make decisions that a human would normally be making.
Okay, so for example, when you call some of these service providers these days, and you may hear a voice respond which doesn't sound human, but yet it is responding to commands, and it is actually responding to you, the customer. Is that an application?
Example, yes, a good example.
That's a good example.
Yes, calling into one of the financial institutions, and the voice at the other end of the call asks, what type of activity do you want to do today? And you respond, I would like to check my credit card balance. Now, in your response, there are some key terms that are being listed for. So the use of the word credit card automatically allows the voice at the other end to respond by saying, please hold while I transfer you to our credit card section. So you would believe you were speaking with a human representative from the institution when you are actually interacting with intelligent bot.
With a robot.
Yes.
As it were. Okay.
Yes, as it were. But what it does is that it does bring into the conversation a human type element, because as customers we complain that we call your institution and we get stuck with this machine saying press 1 for X, press 2 for Y, and it gets us frustrated because we know that we're not interacting with a human, somebody who can understand our current plight.
That takes us now to speak to our guest from the consumer organization. We have online again Trevor Samuels, public relations officer and past president of the National Consumers League. Mr. Samuels, Mr. Edwards just reminded us or told us what artificial intelligence is. We looked at an example or types of examples in brief, and he indicated that persons want that human interaction. So, as in your capacity with the National Consumers League, how
Yes.
do you see that affecting persons who want to do business, find themselves meeting upon these these agents, which are not human?
They are not human. Okay. Well, we have to accept the inevitable. That the technology is going to go that way, and sooner or later, the human being will be replaced in almost all aspects of that sort of business. But what I do, I find some of them very impersonal as a consumer, very impersonal, and sometimes very confusing. And sometimes they will put you onto a thing that rings and rings and rings, and then it just hang up on you to start the process all over again. This is common to the utility, one of the communication companies, and even the utilities companies too. They will put you onto somebody else, and nothing happens, and they tell you to press, and by the time you start pressing all the different things that they tell you to go through, the call gets cut off, and then you have to start the process all over again. And sometimes, for example, when you are on a telephone conversation, you don't know how much credit you have, and they only tell you that you only have such a minute, and they only tell you, okay, and a very sort of not very polite voice will just tell you goodbye, without any form of emotion. It's just a dead sort of mechanical sort of voice. But I suppose that's the way this trend is going now, and we have to suppose it will get better as time goes on.
No,
but
another
the
layer.
Still prefer to speak to a human voice. It's very refreshing to hear a human voice instead of the machine. But so it goes.
Indeed. Now, another layer that has arisen since the onslaught of COVID-19 is the whole matter of the staff in some of the institutions not being permitted by the management of those entities to interact as much with the customers and the clients because of the requirement for physical and social distancing. So you may go now to, for example, a service provider, and a customer service representative walks out of the building to speak to you outside.
Yes.
And in a nutshell, is indicating that whatever you wish to do must be done online. And then you see the customer or the client outside, who may regrettably be in the sun or might be under some sort of canopy or tent, looking at you with a quizzical look in their face, wondering, what on earth are you telling me to do to go online? Have you had to help members or persons who you interact with in terms of your organization, and in a nutshell, help to re-educate them or assist them in any way? How have you reached out to those persons?
Well, our organization is not the type that that people come in and and tell you a lot of things. They usually call you on the telephone and tell you what their complaints are. But
let me stick up in quickly. That's because you're not really a member-driven organization.
We are sort of different organization. We're not a part of service or
but you represent persons in the public.
Yes, when they do call, they always might call and give us a complaint or things like that.
Thank you for that, sir. Okay, so what do you tell them?
we sometimes you have to find out from them exactly what is their problem, because sometimes it's not really a problem. It's simply a matter of interpretation of what you get. For example, you might get a utility bill, and because you're not too sure on exactly what you're being billed for, they might call you, and when you start explaining to them, it might just solve the problem.
Well, I was going there so much. I was thinking more in terms of, let me put it to you squarely before we head to the break. You are now told to make the application online or to do the activity online, and you at this moment are not in a position to do that. But hold those thoughts. We're going to take a quick break and come right back on the Morning Watch.
The time by Phoenix Vision Healthcare, your eye center, 65 Main Street, St. Anne's, Ben, Falmouth, is 7:15 on the Sound of Love.
A Digicel is a brand new year with a brand new swing. Money pre, yeah, a the brand new thing. They are work, they are road, money ain't just a bill. Me top up one time a beer, money me a win. A money pre with Digicel. From now until April 1st, top up with $300 or more for a chance to win cash and prime bundles valued at over $3 million in prizes. A bag of things are due, win instant daily prizes. Yeah, win 10 grand a week. Yeah, and the grand prize, 20 people are going 50 grand each. A money pre with Digicel. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Are you doing enough to protect the health of your parents and grandparents? Our nation's elderly are the most vulnerable group of citizens to die from COVID-19. It is our duty as family members, caregivers, and community to protect their health and well-being. Let's do our part. Wear your mask around them. Wash and sanitize your hands when you are in their space. Provide comfort and emotional support during these very stressful times. Assist them with activities where there is a challenge or a need. Let us show our seniors that we truly care. For further information, contact the National Council for Senior Citizens toll-free 888-SENIORS or 876-736-4677 or call 876-906-9277 or visit www.mlss.gov.jm. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Jams, jellies, soaps, coffee, spices, juice, all these products have agriculture at their core. Where can I learn more about getting into this side of the industry?
The Advanced program provides comprehensive access to information in your quest for higher education. We partner with local institutions to inspire and help you achieve your goals.
Explore your possibilities.
Visit advancedprogram.org or call 876-430-5791. The Advanced program is funded by USAID and implemented by FHI 360.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We are still in the main watch. And the topic in this main watch is understanding and surviving the doing of business online. Our guest today in this segment, Tyrone Edwards. He is an information technology specialist. And we also have with us as a guest, Trevor Samuels, Public Relations Officer and past President of the National Consumers League. Before the break, Mr. Samuels, you were indicating to us how you assist persons out there in the wider society who may have concerns as it relates to doing business online. Now, have you had complaints specifically from persons who say they are being told to go online to do business and they really feel like they're out of their depths because you're now requiring them to do something that they're totally unaccustomed to, or you haven't had those complaints just yet?
Well, I have had personal experiences of them, because, for example, the banks, when you go to the bank now, they don't even want to see you. You get the impression they don't want to see you in the bank and they send you to the ATMs to do your business. Although sometimes, it is difficult for the older people sometimes to manipulate the systems. But once you get used to it, I suppose you get by. But that face-to-face contact, when you can ask a lot of questions, you don't get that anymore. And, the older consumer probably might feel a little bit out of place with doing business there. But I suppose that's the way we are going now, so we have to get used to it. But the banks, yes.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I say that the banks are the ones that are mainly concerned because people use the banks more than they do for other things. So therefore, that is where most of the banks are going. And
it's not just the banks.
No, definitely not. Everywhere it is happening now, almost everywhere. The utility companies, as I say, that is one of them, which you have to do. Even the private sector companies. A lot of the larger companies now, you have to go through the same sort of process. But
yes.
What is it? Yes.
Go ahead.
Back to you, Mr. Marshall.
Yes. What I was going to chime in and say is many of the companies have been building a presence online, but with the advent of COVID, it has forced many of the companies to have to accelerate that online presence and functionality in their businesses. Because even the utilities, the banks, etc., they tend to want to say, go to our website and go to the chat section, and you would interact with an agent via the chat. But they do not have the staff there to manage the number of persons who would be trying to access the chat. And additionally, the companies right now, they are not 24/7 companies. They're not a 20
in terms of hours of work.
Yes.
In terms of hours of work.
In terms of hours of work. And what as consumers we experience is that the services that are provided by these companies, they do break down when their hours of work or contact is has passed. And therefore, even if you go online to try and interact with the company, it's not possible. So this is one of the challenges that companies are facing when it comes on to continuing their business online. So these things affect us as the consumers, as the person seeking the services, but the companies are also faced with having to now navigate pushing their business online.
But this is mostly local companies, though, because
before you come in, Mr. Summers, I want to just quickly say something in relation to what Mr. Edwards just said. Some businesses, some, not all, some, they do appear to have a 24-hour cycle in terms of work. I've seen where some of them can accommodate you doing business online with them at any hour of the day or night. But I agree with you, sir, that a lot of them are not in a position to do that at the moment. So it does appear as if even some of the employers or the business operators themselves are having challenges with this, call it new normal. Mr. Summers, you're coming in?
yes. What I'm saying is that, these are things that took us, by suddenly I don't think we are prepared for the sort of suddenness of the onset of COVID. But some of them are in fact doing things because you can do your supermarket. Some supermarkets now you can order your goods online. Restaurants, you can order whatever it is that you want, and you can get a takeout service. But
can I make a comment there, Mr. Samuels? Can I make a comment there in terms of surviving the new normal or surviving the matter of doing business online?
Sure.
Because some items in a supermarket, when you purchase them, they're pretty generic. Some things might come in a box. This more or less the same item in a box. But there are other things that you buy in the supermarket, such as certain meats and other things, maybe vegetables, if you buy that in the supermarket. And you might want to look at what you're picking up before you purchase it.
Well, that's a general thing for shopping online, It's not confined to supermarkets only. Generally, this is one of the things that the consumer misses. To go and smell the stuff, feel the stuff, look at the stuff, and whatever, and try on the stuff. It is an item of clothing, for example. So therefore, especially people who are the older people will miss that sort of service. So therefore, it's not only supermarket, but I was saying that more and more the Jamaicans are catching on, and more people are calling in for the good grocery items which can be delivered at home to the to a courier service or whatever. But if in fact you make your purchase, your order online, you pay for it online, whatever it is, and they will deliver it to you. But it's not all type of goods which are amenable to this sort of situation. As you were saying, meats and other grocery items, I don't know if that will ever go online, especially things that are open. But packaged goods, perhaps, but still you want to see the customer want to feel and see the goods for themselves. As they say, the eye of the master fattens the heart. So therefore, that will not be placed in a hurry in our Jamaican society.
The thing is that the purchasing of the meat can be done online. I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure it happens already. It happens right now. It's just that you are that interaction. Your ability to inspect before you purchase might be a thing there. When you read online, but I digress. Before we wrap today, and maybe we should even have a part two and have a conversation with someone who owns a supermarket where they do business, where they supply things online to find out how they leap, how they jump over that hurdle. But surviving this doing of business online, can you give us any guidance and assistance, Mr. Edwards? And then we'll conclude it with you, Mr. Samuels. Mr. Edwards, how can we survive this doing of business online?
Well, you would have to first apply what you would normally apply in carrying out any form of business as a consumer, that is, where you have to look for the best options that are available, because right now the companies are going to be competing for your business, right? And so you look and see who is offering the best and who is giving you additional services like the option of returning items, etc.
Yes.
If you find that it is easy to interact with a business also, where it is clear what you are going to be getting, you have to look out for that type of information also when you're doing business online. And we have to now appreciate that there is some adaptation taking place, some changes, and it is not going to flow correct 100% of the time, and we should be prepared for the instances when it doesn't work, and we know where to go to. And that's where Mr. Samuels comes in.
And in fact, something has struck me since, even while you're speaking, we note everything you have said, Mr. Edwards, especially in the matter of being able to return items, which I know can happen when you're doing business online. Many times you're allowed to return things. But Mr. Samuels, we know the socio-economic situation here, certainly in the towns and the cities and all across the island.
Right.
It's interesting when you talk about doing business online and delivering items. Just imagine you're asking, let's call it a bike person or a bike man. Some females also ride bikes, and they may be the person doing the delivery. Having ordered the item online, you're now giving it to the person who rides the bike or the vehicle or drives the vehicle to take it to you. And the customer is living in a community, for example, and this is a sensitive one here. I'm not making anybody look bad, but the person lives in a community where the person driving the vehicle is afraid to go to because there were some gunshots ringing out in that community just this morning.
Yes.
The reality of these things, sir.
That's one of the big disadvantages of this situation, no, because of our crime situation here.
Yes.
It is whenever you see a motorcycle person, first and foremost, your mind starts wondering, I wonder if this is a genuine person or this is somebody else who is after you for something else. Because to be fair, many of them do wear their branded shirts, but nonetheless continue. Yes, but once you hear, these motorcycles, you have to think twice, because we know the history of some of these motorcyclists, and probably most of them are genuine, but we don't know who the few are who are not genuine. And it drives fear when you see a motorcycle pulls up at your gate without any identification, without anything at all, and you might think twice about doing business with that company. But, as you talk about... Any final thoughts in a few seconds? Yes. When you're doing shopping online from overseas, like this big company, which I will not name, but we all know that a lot of the younger people shop online. The return policy is something else, because sometimes it might cost you more to do the business online by the time you think about return. You might buy a pair of shoes, for example, and it doesn't fit well. Or the picture that you see online is not exactly what you see when you see the physical item. So therefore, there are disadvantages and advantages to this whole thing. But as we say, shopping overseas through thing is nothing new. It's only that we are doing this thing electronically now, but it has been going on for probably 200-300 years or more. People used to run their business from overseas. Conferences are now held from locally, and you are doing your conferencing by Zoom or whatever it is. All these things are taking place. Now we have to get used to the new normal. Have to leave it there this morning. I want to thank Mr. Edwards and Mr. Samuels for being with us in the main watch. Mrs. Edwards, you'll be back with us in the second watch. The morning watch will be right back after this break.
JN Bank Live Online Banking is your quick and easy banking that's safe and secure. Sign up today. Visit jnbank.com. JN Bank will help you find a way. The time is
7:30 and a half on the Sound of Love.
Shake and go with true shake. Shake and go. Grab a true shake and go. When me have to put in the work, but I'm moving slow. Grab a true shake and go. School time and not joke time. Have to study hard, brain full time. Grab a true shake and go. When we up in the gym, we have to stay healthy and fit. Grab a true shake and go. Shake and go with true shake. Packed with 9 grams of protein, 24 key vitamins and minerals to keep you going. Grab a true shake and go.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I am Stokely Marshall, attorney at law, your host. And let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And in the major daily newspapers this morning and other happenings, we have in the Jamaica Observer, Jamaica seeks Covaxin. Jamaica seeks Covaxin. That is Covaxin. The Indian government and Jamaica are engaged in talks to distribute the India-manufactured Covaxin vaccine to Jamaica once it gets approval from the World Health Organization. We have another story here which is very concerning. Police investigating killing of 81-year-old. And we now turn to the Gleaner. The U.S. government seizes over 10 million fake N95 masks in COVID-19 probe. Another one here, 5 employees at Foreign Affairs Ministry test positive for COVID-19. Those and many other stories in both major daily newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read for you some of the feedback from our social media question, which is, where do you draw the line with artificial intelligence? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Join the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management on the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen on Love 101 FM for the UPEM Quiz Competition. Every Monday through to Friday, call in for your chance to win with Digicel and Flow Credit. It's the UPEM Quiz Competition. Tune in, call in, and win. It's on the Small People Show with Auntie Colleen, 4 p.m. Monday to Friday on the Small People Show on the family station, Love 101.
We all want to go higher. BPM Financial is the way to go higher. At BPM, your dreams are possible. At BPM Financial, we'll share your own path to rebuild. Help you save for one life, take you higher in this life.
BPM Financial, taking you higher.
Calling all wives and husbands to be, and even those who already are singles, this one is for you too, because a truly marvelous program has a truly marvelous program planned for you this Thursday. So be sure to tune in to have and to hold this Thursday, February 18 at 5:30 p.m. as we have a chit chat with an engaged couple, Paula K. Murphy and Mauro Taylor. So grab a pen and paper as they will share with us about boundaries during dating, expectations, their roles and responsibilities of each other, and of course, we will hear about their upcoming 2021 wedding. You can't afford to miss all this information inside the truly marvelous program that's designed to have and to hold marriages this and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. here on Love 101, the family station.
Here is a reminder from Love 101, the family station, as we face the COVID-19 pandemic. Be kind to address stigma during this pandemic. Share the latest facts and avoid exaggerating stories. Show solidarity with affected persons and tell the stories of persons who have experienced the virus. I am Kimberly Levy from Love 101, reminding you to protect yourself while protecting others. Stay safe and keep it locked on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back to Love 101 FM, the Morning Watch. I am your host, Stokely Marshall. Let's see if there are any. Siobhan, did we get any comments?
Well,
at least so far.
seeing two comments here. This one says it's an interesting topic, but what and how do we draw the line in retrospect? This one says, do we get to draw the line, or do we automatically or subconsciously fall in line? Two questions.
Amazing. Those are not just two comments, those are two amazing comments.
Yeah.
Keep the comments flowing. It's indeed quite an interesting topic, and one which is extremely relevant in these times. Well, you may have seen videos or a video circulating on social media in relation to a computer appearing to reject your job application, a computer deciding if you're a suitable candidate, an online facility or an online app telling you whether or not you are eligible for something or not. And artificial intelligence is popping up in just about every aspect of our daily lives. Maybe you don't realize it, and maybe you do. Now, we even find artificial intelligence being used in agriculture, the airline industry, in retail, how you shop on a day-to-day basis, in security and surveillance, very important. Sports, even sports. Manufacturing, livestock management. Now there is this whole thing called a self-driving vehicle, autonomous vehicles. And it's being used in many other places and in various applications. Now, how much power should we give to artificial intelligence? Especially when you're doing something such as looking for a job. Why should a computer tell me whether or not my application is suitable? What is the human impact of all of this? At the end of the day, what is the human impact? We have returning with us in the second watch, Mr. Tyrone Edwards, an information technology specialist. And to help us to understand the human impact, Dr. Leakim Semaj, psychologist, founder and chief ideator, Above and Beyond. Dr. Semaj, Mr. Edwards, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Edwards, you're back with us in the second watch? No, yes, sir. I'm going to start with you. You heard that social media question. Where do you draw the line with artificial intelligence? What are your thoughts on that question, sir? Where do we draw the line before we bring in Dr. Semaj?
The comments were very...
I'm putting in a bit of a hot seat. Where do we draw the line?
Yes, the comments were very good comments. In terms of drawing the line, we would think about critical type systems, critical type decisions, like whether you should press a button to start a nuclear war. So, or should we draw the line at what should I be having for breakfast this morning? It depends on the person. How much responsibility are you willing to give over to an artificial intelligence system? Just how comfortable you are, and that will determine what you would consider a line in the sand that you would draw.
A line in the sand that you would draw. Dr. Semaj, sir, we know what artificial intelligence is, what it can and can't do. Now, there is a video that was circulating on social media recently, and whilst we don't take everything on social media just as it appears, my information is that this one was produced by the British Broadcasting Corporation. And in a nutshell, it indicated how a computer could reject your job application, sir. Now, I know that these things aren't new, but I think we're paying much more attention these days, certainly in the last couple of months. Do you have any comments? Because you see, the average person at this time, anyway, is accustomed to at least seeing a human being speak to you. If it's even on a virtual platform where you see the person's face through the computer, but at least you're seeing someone. But in the case of a computer that's telling you your application doesn't meet the requirements, how does that impact the average human being, you think? Any thoughts?
Well, listen, we don't really have much choice, Anything that can be quantified and codified can be computerized.
Say that again, Dr. Sebastian. Don't say it too quickly. Don't say it too. Take your time and repeat that. Anything that can be what?
Anything that can be quantified. Anything that can be quantified and codified can be computerized.
Okay, stop. Stick
so
up
for example,
stick up in. I know I'm jumping here, but just work with me, please, if you can. Does that include us human beings, sir?
Absolutely.
Oh,
anything you see, and that's the distinction now between the elements. Now, for example, a job. You're looking for certain years of experience, certain years of training, certain educational level. You may want a certain age range. You may want... Now, all of those things can be quantified and codified.
Okay.
And you can easily have an algorithm developed to just look for those things and in a matter of seconds say yes or no.
Okay.
We're not talking about the final decision.
Okay.
Are those things in place?
Okay. So, just follow up on what you just said. Once the algorithm does its job and makes a decision about whether you are qualified for the job or not, okay, let me paint a scenario. The algorithm decides that you are suitable. Do you still need a human being at the end of that process to still meet with you just in case you tricked the algorithm? I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, no, absolutely. What the computer does...
Go ahead.
It speeds up the early phase of the process. Let me tell you, I'm in the business of hiring people. It's incredible. There are people out there that apply for everything. Everything. And by the way, there's a difference between men and women. If a job requires 10 critical skills, most women will not apply unless they have 11 out of the 10. I'm actually exaggerating. On the other hand, men will have 1 out of the 10 and apply. Women hold themselves to a much higher standard than men do. Men, I can't talk my way through this business. So first of all, the algorithm now just doesn't fall for that game because look, do you see the skills or not? Because what you're doing now, look, when we do job searches, when we go to hire people, the first thing we do, we get a resume or some kind of job application. Resumes are self-report. They're full of embellishment and lies. All right? So, but either way, you go through the resumes and you put them in one of 3 categories. Yes, no, maybe. So it's very easy to have an algorithm or artificial intelligence that just immediately look for the schooling, look for the experience, look for whatever. Yes. So it goes, it does the screening very efficiently.
Dr. Mark, what you're saying is extremely interesting, but we're upon a break. We'll be right back in a moment. The Morning Watch will be right back after this break.
You're tuned to Love 101 FM. The family station is now 7:45. Please stay with us.
The king of all feast returns, and we have great taste expectations. We're giving you 2 sandwiches, a small fries, and a drink for just $850.
Yeah, no, my kind of deal that.
Get 2 Whopper Juniors or 2 original chicken sandwiches with a small fries and soda, or mix it up with a Whopper Junior and an original chicken sandwich with a small fries and soda for less than $1,000.
That sound like lunch and dinner.
Keep your taste expectations high.
I'm a budget nice and low.
The King's Feast awaits you right now at Burger King. Taste rules your way.
Phoenix Health and Vision Center now has 2 locations. St. Anne's Bay, 65 Main Street beside the health center. And now Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. You heard me right. Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney. The only full-service eye care center for all your designer frames and designer glasses. Complete eye care. Book all your appointments now in St. Anne's Bay. Call 876-972-2388. 876-589-8327. For Falmouth and its environs, call this number 876-533-0540. Looking forward to seeing you at both locations. Phoenix Health and Vision Center. Now at Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney.
My daughter calls me the
bestest dad ever.
And as her father, I have to live up to that. She looks to me for everything. But I have other responsibilities too. As a track coach, I have to guide my team to run on the track and not into trouble, cause plenty of that out there. My days don't stop, and neither can I. So I need something to take care of me while I take care of everybody else. That drink is Malta. And it tastes good too. Big up yourself, Malta.
So you're full of life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokely Marshall. We are in the second watch, and we're having a conversation with Dr. Leah Kim Semaj, psychologist, founder and chief ideator Above and Beyond, and Mr. Tyrone Edwards, information technology specialist. And Dr. Semaj, just before the break, you were outlining for us the differences between men and women in terms of applying for jobs, and a lot of the times the resumes are embellished. They don't have all the relevant facts that you really need. They add things to it, I suppose that's what you're trying to say. Please continue, Dr. Semaj. I think we might have lost Dr. Semaj. Are you still with us, Dr. Semaj? Mr. Edwards?
Yes, I'm here, and as Dr. Semaj was saying, once you can quantify the attributes that you're looking for,
yes,
and you apply an algorithm to it, it can be automated. And if we are to really examine the things that we do on a daily basis, that specific factor can be applied to it. And that is why we're able to develop applications to assist us in doing our work.
Well, I suppose so. In other words, I asked Dr. Semaj in the first segment of this second watch whether that includes, in a nutshell, replicating humans, and I think he said yes. But to sort of chisel down some more, maybe what it really means is that you can't replace the human being as a person per se, but you can replace the things we do, or you can replicate the things that we do. Am I correct, Mr. Edwards, or I have it wrong? Mr. Edwards?
That is correct. You're saying in terms of replicating activities.
We're having a slight challenge hearing you, Mr. Edwards. I think it might be some technological issue which we will try to resolve. But can you speak a little bit more directly into your phone if that might help? Mr. Edwards? Dr. Semaj, are you back with us, sir?
I'm with you, sir, yes.
Great. Dr. Semaj, while we're trying to resolve the issues with the communication with Mr. Edwards, Dr. Samaj, just before the break, you were outlining for us very beautifully the challenges with resumes and that sort of thing. Men tend to apply for jobs, even if they have only one attribute out of several, while women are a little bit more conservative and cautious before they apply. Can you complete that thought before we continue?
Yes. So it is clear that at that stage, some quantification helps. Now, along the way, from a resume, we went to application forms. Application forms are more accurate than resumes because application forms, you ask a question and you want an answer. So
Okay.
fill in this. And now it's just one step further now with the AI. The artificial intelligence now will take it beyond the application form. It looks for, did you have this? No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And it quantifies the process at the end. And then you are put in a category and you go to the next level. We do the same thing by the way, the same thing also works with people who are on a panel. One of the biggest problems I have when I do hiring, you have people around the table making decisions on the interview. Each have their own personal biases. Each one have a different idea of what the job really requires. So many times I have to start by making sure I get some kind of a composite before we advertise for the job, so that at least the candidate doesn't have to go through that rigor of you having 6 people on the table having a totally different impression as to what you're really looking for. So what AI does is just puts it all on one category, and we know exactly what we're looking for. But then at the end of the day, it's a human being that makes the final decision.
Okay. And in terms of the artificial intelligence assisting in the job application process, help me here, Dr. Samaj. Is it that maybe when you go to the job interview, you are presented with a computer screen with a keyboard or something like that, and a number of random questions are asked, which you have to answer yes or no? I think that's what you're saying, yes, no. And then when you finish with all of these responses... describe it for us then, sir.
It happens at the screening level. For example, some companies, from you apply, AI goes through the application or goes through the resume, looks for target words and expressions, and then put you in what category. Some other companies send you a psychometric test, or a game to play, or a series of games to play. And based on your score, based on the profile that you establish, you are told you go to the next level. Or you're told, thanks for your application, but you do not meet the criteria that we're looking for.
And if you don't get the job, are those...
the final stage where the human element comes in.
The human element comes at the end. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I know there's a delay. I'm sorry, Dr. Simaj. I know that there's a little bit of a delay today in terms of when you're hearing me and when I'm hearing you, but we apologize to all listeners for that, and to you as a guest as well. But what I was trying to ascertain from you, sir, is in relation to the results of the psychometric test or whichever test you took to try to get the job. Even if you fail to get that job, are the results of those findings shared with the applicant, or they're not?
Not necessarily. Okay. Because that's the property of the person doing the assessment. Okay. If you paid for it, then it's your property. But it's just part of their screening device. Okay. In our company, we can actually, even if someone else paid for it, and you wish to pay for it, we can give you feedback. Here's how you scored on this. Yes.
I see. Where do we go from here in the time we have left here? Never enough time of the morning watch. Some final comments. Going to start with you, Mr. Edwards. Where do we go from here? Because the human impact, it's not easy. You're doing all of these things online, surviving this world of AI. How does it affect us as human beings? I know you're an information technology specialist, but from a human side, any comments or thoughts, sir, before we wrap today?
Well, in terms of the impact, people will adjust to it. As one of the commenters said, do we just fall in line? And basically, once the companies are using the technology, then we are going to adapt and respond to the use of the technology. The challenge is if we are giving up too much power, decision power to the technology. Using artificial intelligence, yes, administering the basic screening exams and so on, that is sufficient. But allowing a learning artificial intelligence system to make final decisions, that is where you would have to draw the line, because we know that there are specific things that a learning AI system can do that will then bias the applicant. So it depends on how much decision or power that you give to the AI system. But it does streamline the process of screening applicants and allowing you to identify those persons who are suited for further recruitment.
Yes, and there are other areas I'm pretty sure where there is this impact of AI, not just job applications, because there are other spheres of life.
And the thing is that when it comes on to using technology,
yes,
the type of technology that is the focus of the particular activity would change. So at the moment, artificial intelligence is the one that is having a lot of traction, and because it helps us to reduce the amount of effort that we put into specific tasks. We know that we can program an artificial bot to carry out the activities that a human can also do, such as administering these tests, administering the screening exams, making furniture, etc. But at the end of the day, there needs to be quality assurance. And as Dr. Samad said, the human, after the filtering is done, they then examine the applicants at the next level or step in the recruitment process. And therefore, you do not give up the end to the artificial intelligence system.
Dr. Samaj, any thoughts before we wrap today? The human impact. You're a psychologist. Help the listeners. Help us all understand this, sir.
Our responsibility is to learn how the new system operates and make sure that your behavior is more consistent with what the system is looking for. In that it tells you must answer this, answer that, specify this, even just to fill in things in the right areas. Work with the system. Because look, it's even more pervasive. Many websites you go on, you call many companies, even right here in Jamaica, it's a chat bot that really takes your call. And basic questions you ask, it tell you, I don't understand it. Make a simpler statement, make a simpler. And it does a sorting out, and then it puts you through so where you need to get to. You call a bank now. Good morning. What are you looking for? How can I help you today? And it looks for code words. You say credit card, and it now puts you right through to. So it simplifies it, but you now have to learn how to work with the system, how to talk the language that the system understands. Persons who don't use the language that the system understands will be in trouble.
Have to leave it there today. I want to thank you, Dr. Samaj and Mr. Edwards, for being with us. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all the information you shared with us. Thank you, our listeners, for being with us. And to get copies of the program, call the production department at 876-968-9596-7. You can now listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app. Download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM. This has been the Morning Watch. Have a blessed weekend. Join the Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week, Tuesday, as we continue to set the stage for the discussion of topical and controversial issues. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale. I am Stokely Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Siobhan Blair.
Delicious mackerel, tasty tuna, rich in protein and healthy fats with omega-3 from Grace. Better choices, better life.
The The time brought to you by Grace Kennedy is
8 o'clock, folks, on the Sound of Love. It's time for the program Forward in Faith, brought to you by the Port Moody Testament Church of God.
The Lord